Pero sin lugar a dudas, esta no es una tarea para tibios. Esta no es una tarea para cobardes. Esta no es una tarea para los políticamente correctos. Yo no me metí acá para estar guiando corderos. Yo me metí acá para despertar leones. ¿Quieren escucharlo rugir?
When you think of Argentina, you might envision tango, soccer, or maybe a juicy steak. But today, it's all about a wild surge in Bitcoin advocacy and a man whose opposition to statism might be louder than a wake-up call from Frankie. That's right, baby. Wake the f up and get on the freedom train. We got a lot of shit to cover. Let's get it.
Llegan a estar en peligro seriamente las libertades individuales, como está mostrando día a día este gobierno liberticida. Creo que puede que llegue mi momento.
Porque como hemos pedido que se vayan todos y no se fue ninguno, entonces que se queden todos, porque nos vamos a meter todos y los vamos a sacar a patadas en el culo, ¿sí? Para volver a reconstruir la Argentina próspera, una Argentina liberal, una Argentina pujante, una Argentina que vuelva a abrazar los valores de Alberdi y así en 35 años volver a ser la primer potencia mundial. Entonces sí, efectivamente me voy a meter en política.
¿Sabes a quién vas a votar?
Milei, olvidate.
¿A Milei? Sí.
Milei. Milei puede ser.
¿Milei?
Milei.
Milei. Javier Milei.
Milei.
Milei. A Milei.
Y Milei me parece.
Milei.
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 ¿Querés que te diga en serio?
Sí.
Milei.
Yo no me metí acá para estar guiando corderos. Yo me metí acá para despertar leones.
I'm gonna go ahead and start with this. Go ahead and take a look down there. 339.8 million views. And I want you to put that in perspective. So when I said that, these Bitcoiners just made history, well, they're both advocates, and it just became the most watched interview in history. Now, Tucker's last interview with that orange guy, Trump, that set the record and beat Oprah's former record with her interview with Michael Jackson. And it appears Tucker Carlson is going full Eminem, breaking a record every time he drops a record right now. And what this really had me thinking is the fact that, Joe Rogan gets like 11 million views. He's the #1 podcaster in the world. Tucker was the #1 show on Fox News and all mainstream media, and he was getting about 3-4 million views. I'm putting that in perspective. He's gone independent, and he's got 340 million views, blowing everyone out of the water, talking about, well, look at this, Argentina's next president. And this guy is winning big time. You saw those crowds. Who is he? Well, Tucker traveled to Buenos Aires to speak to him and find out. And we, of course, here at Simply Bitcoin have covered Milei quite a bit, but very exciting stuff, an amazing conversation, very base. And before we get into that, now Milei, you got to understand they kind of do language a little different, right? So when he uses the terms liberal, he's referring to classical liberal, like Bastiat, which is closer to libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism, if you'd like to say. And when he refers to anything like socialism or communism, of course, they're all the same thing, all statism. And that's really the point that he's driving home, is the fact that it's freedom versus the state. And I don't care, politics are almost irrelevant until you fix the money. For example, a lot of Western democracies went full tyrannical regimes over the past few years, and they're supposed to be democracies with representative government. that are supposed to work in your best interest. But I think we know the truth. But let's get to it.
We're in downtown Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. This was once, about 100 years ago, one of the richest cities in the world, and you could tell as you walk around the faded grandeur of a once great city, but this is now a desperate country. Its economy is in shambles, has been for a long time. Argentina famously defaulted on its debt more than 20 years ago. But now hyperinflation has made this country genuinely desperate. You see it when you have dinner here in restaurants and people pull out bricks of local currency, the peso, to pay. It feels like Weimar or Zimbabwe, but it's not. This is a developed country that's moving backwards at high speed. And because of the frustration that has built up among the population, particularly among poor people, a man called Javier Milei is poised to become its next president. He's a former soccer star, a goalie, a performer in a Rolling Stones cover band, and a libertarian economist. He's not a libertarian in the traditional American sense. He wouldn't fit in at the Cato Institute. He's a libertarian in the traditional sense. He believes people should have the maximum amount of freedom they can be given, which is a lot, much more than they now get in Argentina. He has moved from basically nowhere in the last several years to become maybe the most famous person in this country. The election is next month in October, and once again, it seems like he's likely to win.
He himself is a Bitcoin enthusiast, right? He jetted off to Argentina, not for steak, not for soccer, but to meet the rockstar economist and fellow Bitcoin advocate, Javier Milei.
Why do you think, from your perspective, you've become a man with no political background, so popular so quickly in this country?
Desde mi punto de vista hay dos líneas que explican por qué la popularidad. Una tiene que ver con mi background personal, que tiene que ver con el hecho de que he sido jugador de fútbol, al mismo tiempo he sido cantante de rock and roll y además soy economista. Y creo que esa combinación es una combinación atractiva en términos de producto televisivo. Pero por otra parte, lo que también es importante es el tema de las ideas. Y Argentina básicamente es un país que lleva 100 años abrazando las ideas socialistas, y entonces la rebelión natural del sistema era ser liberales. Y es por eso que la rebelión natural aparece siempre en los jóvenes, y los jóvenes encontraron a alguien que les hablaba de liberalismo, que se rebelaba contra el status quo.
Man, Milei from an 18% poll prediction to grabbing a 29% victory in the primaries, Milei maybe as unpredictable as a Bitcoin price chart, and with hair that's probably more talked about than the latest thing. What is that now? Like Men in Black aliens in Mexico or something? And the guy is very based. He's just gonna say what he thinks, what he feels, but Milei's boldness isn't limited to just critiquing the state. But he also questioned the Pope, talked about advising the orange guy, and has many times advocated for Bitcoin as the future of financial freedom. In short, Javier Milei is making waves.
The Pope, the current Pope, is from Argentina. I would think he would support you. He has instead criticized you, and you've called him a communist. Why the disconnect?
Bueno, primero porque el Papa juega políticamente. Es decir, es un Papa donde tiene fuerte injerencia política. Ha demostrado además una gran afinidad con dictadores como Castro o como con Maduro. Es decir, está del lado de dictaduras sangrientas.
Wait, I'm sorry, Raúl Castro's a murderer.
Sí, y Fidel Castro también era otro asesino.
But the Pope, you believe the Pope has an affinity for Raúl Castro?
Sí, exacto. Sí, de hecho no los condena. Es decir, es bastante condescendiente con ellos. Y es también condescendiente con la dictadura venezolana. Es decir, él es condescendiente con todos los de izquierdas, aun cuando sean verdaderos criminales, lo cual eso es un problema. Pero además es alguien que considera que la justicia social, un elemento central de su visión, Y eso es muy complicado porque la justicia social, ¿qué es? Robarle el fruto de su trabajo a una persona y dárselo a otra. Entonces implica dos cosas. Una es un robo y el problema es que el robo está en contra de lo que señalan los 10 mandamientos. Es decir, avalar la justicia social es avalar el robo. Por lo tanto, es un problema de que está violando los 10 mandamientos. El otro problema es que es un trato desigual frente a la ley.
Now, me myself, I'm kind of against protectionist policies, but Milei on the global stage, he has a clear stance. No deals with status, so China, Lula, unless it's about decentralized money of the future, Bitcoin, probably don't bother knocking.
You've said that as president of Argentina, you will not do business with China.
De hecho, no solo no voy a hacer negocios con China, no voy a hacer negocios con ningún comunista. Es decir, a ver, yo soy un defensor de la libertad, de la paz y de la democracia. Los comunistas no entran ahí.
But also incredible, beyond the politics, and probably his Bitcoin price checks. Who is this Javier Milei at heart? Well, one thing, he's a man whose phone screensaver is joy has no end, and is as passionate about freedom, the Austrian economic community, as he is about Bitcoin and decentralization.
¿Qué hay después? Nadie lo sabe. ¿Vos qué crees? ¿Hay algo? ¿Le tenés miedo a la muerte o no?
No.
No.
No. No le tengo miedo a la muerte. Cuando vos obrás y vivís acorde a tu conciencia, no le tenés miedo. Porque, ¿sabes cuál es la definición? Esto es personal mío.
Sí.
¿Sabes que cuando vos estés en el último momento, o sea, en el instante previo a T grande, es decir, después cambiaste de patio, ¿sabes lo que sucede? Ahí te va a pasar toda tu vida. ¿Y sabes cuál es tu infierno? Que no la vas a poder corregir. Entonces, si vos no viviste acorde a lo que vos verdaderamente sentís, y eso es una desesperación, ya no lo podés corregir, ya no tenés tiempo, te fuiste, se terminó. Eso es el infierno. Es decir, viste, como decía Borges, cometí el peor de los pecados.
No he sido feliz.
No fui feliz. Bueno, es eso.
Cerrame con esto. ¿Vos estás hoy en un momento de felicidad? ¿Te gusta lo que haces?
Yo, digamos, o sea, mira, yo tengo un protector de pantalla que dice ANTF. La alegría no tiene fin.
ANTF, ¿y cuál es? Decímela.
Viví siempre consistente, a ver, con lo que sería, mañana podría ser el último día de tu vida.
Sí.
Viví acorde a eso. Entonces, ¿qué haces? Acomodás toda tu vida para hacer las cosas que te gustan. En mi caso es estar con mis hijitos de 4 patas, con Conan, Murray, Milton, Robert y Lucas, estar con Cari, con Aaron, ¿sí? Y hacer un poco de economía. Y con eso yo soy feliz. ¿Te das cuenta cuál es el problema que tiene la casta conmigo? Se desviven por la guita. Yo encontré la felicidad y no necesito ni el poder ni la guita. Entonces, ¿sabes cuál es el punto? Que cuando yo te voy a una elección y te pido el voto, no es para que me des el poder, es para que te lo pueda devolver.
Guys, as Argentina contemplates its dance with destiny and Bitcoin, one thing is clear. Milei's dancing to his own rhythm and Team Bitcoin stays winning. And the world, both financial and political, is all ears. Oh, and would you look at that? Looks like Max Keiser is making a little trip for some of the latest on El Salvador. You're going to want to check this out. And I'm going to go back to my tweet. Guys, the great Bitcoin renaissance is before us and the freedom train is unstoppable. The Great Reset, your CBDCs, you can get on board or get your boots knocked. All right, guys, when we got supply shocks and all these things going on, you want to make sure you take your Bitcoin off of exchanges, you take self-custody, and if you need help getting set up, if you need help with wallets, nodes, no KYC purchases, inheritance planning, guys, the Bitcoin Way is your IT team in the Bitcoin world. If you need help with any of that, we get a link down below, and you can schedule a call with the Bitcoin Way today. The Bitcoin takeover is underway. I want you to really think about this. Is it a coincidence that the US's favorite reporter, who happened to be the most libertarian of anyone on mainstream media, you can argue that, loves Bitcoin and sound money principles? Also, it can't be coincidence that Argentina is about to elect their own Ron Paul and Javier Milei. Team Bitcoin stays winning. Oh, and we were talking about Ron Paul, right? What did he say about an idea whose time has come?
The people know that the system we have is not working. It's not working economically. It's not working monetarily. Our foreign policy is not working. And therefore, they're looking for answers. They will not welcome us with open arms. We found that out. But there is a vacuum out there. And the vacuum is not in one political party, it is pervasive. It's throughout the country, it is throughout the political system. But our views are just as pervasive. Ideas spread, they can't stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government.